Hey, fifth graders, it's Mrs. Grousland. I'm here to teach you Unit 6, Lesson 8, Equations and Parentheses. Our learning target is I can use parentheses to write equations for word problems that require 2 steps. So the key words there are 2 steps. So our problems are going to require 2 or possibly even more calculations. All right, before we start, let's just talk about what happens with parentheses. This equation has 2 operations, dividing and adding. Which do we do first? The parentheses, obviously, right? 12 divided by 4 is 3, plus 2 is n, which is 5. So in this case, if they had left off the parentheses, we still would have gotten the same answer, because in order of operations, you're going to do multiplying and dividing before you do adding and subtracting. Take a look at some of these. We're going to have you put parentheses in where you could make these equations true. For example, depending on which one of these I try first, I'm going to try this first one. Order of operations tells me I have to do dividing first, right? So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So if I write 9 minus 2, do I get 1? No, I get 7. So this is the answer for this one, right? So that would be true if I followed the order of operations and I did 6 divided by 3 first. To get 1, I'm going to need to go in a different order against the order of operations. So if I put parentheses around these 2 numbers, I get 9 minus 6 is 3, and then I get 3 divided by 3 is 1. All right, take a look at these next 2 and see if you can figure out where the parentheses go in both of those. All right, I'm wondering if you got this right. If you put the parentheses around the 5 plus 5, you get 10, and 20 divided by 10 is 2. If you simply used your order of operations and didn't put a parentheses in at all, you would do the 20 divided by 5 first, and that would give you 9. All right, there's one more there if you want to try it. Otherwise, move on with me, and we're going to go straight to our textbooks. I'm going to have you open up to page 277, and if your teacher lets you, you can use a calculator for this page. So students are buying things at the school's bookstore, and we have to figure out how much they spent. So we're going to do 2 things in each of these. We're going to come up with an equation, and then we're going to put our answer on the second line. And we're going to use parentheses so that whoever is solving this problem after us knows what to do first. Number 1. Tom bought 1 eraser for 59 cents and 6 pencils for 15 cents each. So first thing you're going to do, the 1 eraser, you can just write all by itself. And then you know that you would add the amount that's spent on the pencils. Well, we don't know that right away. We've got to figure that out. It's going to be 6 times the 15 cents each. And I'm not putting the dollar sign in there. I hope you're all right with that. Okay? So before we can do anything, we've got to do the multiplying first, right? Pause the video and see if you can figure out what the answer is. I'm hoping you got $1.49. Okay? Let's try number 2. Jay buys 8 book covers for 90 cents each and 1 pen for 49 cents. Well, the book covers, you've got to do a little multiplying. The 8 times the 90 cents. And then you're going to add to it the pen for 49 cents. I'm going to put the parentheses around this because I know I've got to figure this out. Pause your video, figure out the answer. So if you multiply these together, you get 720, and then if you add 49 cents, you would get 769. Did you get that right? Hope so. All right, I'm going to read the next one. Actually, I'm going to skip down to number 4. Let's have you try Bo. Excuse me. Bo bought 1 pen for $2.50 and 6 portfolios. Those are like folders for $1.25 each. Pause the video. Write your equation, and then write your answer. All right, you're going to add 250 and 6 times $1.25. It's okay if you have those flip-flopped and have the 6 times the 125 on this side and the 250 there. In any case, you should wind up with $10 spent. All right, let's look down at the bottom of your page. We're going to do some practice with parentheses. All right, we're going to do number 6 first of all. We'll do that one together. 5 times 60 is what you're going to do first because it's in parentheses. Hopefully you know that's 300. Subtract 2 is n. N would be 298. All right, now I want to look at number 8. Number 8's really important to have those parentheses in there. If you didn't have parentheses, you would be multiplying 3 times 1.5 first, right? Because you multiply and divide before you add and subtract. But in this case, they want us to do the 1.5 minus 1/8 first. Pause the video there, and then I'll help you multiply by the 3. You do the 1.5 minus 1/8. Here's a hint. You're going to need a common denominator. So for the subtraction part of this equation, I did the 1.5 minus 1/8, and I chose 8 as my common denominator. If you happen to choose 16, then you'd have a little different answer down here. You would have 6/16. Okay, and then did you remember to bring the 1 down? So now we're left with 3 times this number, and I don't know if you remember how to multiply those fractions. The 3 we can put over 1, and then the 1 3/8 we're going to change it from a mixed number to an improper fraction. And it's kind of like a wheel that goes around. I always tell kids, you're going to multiply the 8 times the 1, and then you're going to add the 3. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So 1 3/8 expressed as an improper fraction would be 11/8. Now it's in a form that we can multiply it. Multiplying fractions, that's no problem. First you do the top, 33, then you do the bottom. Now you should be thinking, ooh, that doesn't look right. That's an improper fraction, and that would be correct. Remember, this little bar means divide. You're going to do 33 divided by 8. And I know my 8s pretty well. I know that 8's going to go into 33 4 times. 4 times 8 is 32, which means I'll have 1 left over, 1/8. So final answer, 4 1/8. Sheesh, that was hard. Okay. All right, if you want to on this page, you can try to do a couple more. Some of them are going to be easier than others. Some of them you could pretty easily do with a calculator. Some of them look hard, but they're really not. Like 13 looks like it's going to be super hard, but really you're just moving the decimal over when you're doing that. Okay, so now we have some word problems. I've gone on to the next page in our lesson book. Let's try number 14. A suburban shopping mall has 105 rows of parking spaces with 45 spaces in each row. A special permit is required to park in 630 of those spaces. How many spaces do not require a special permit? Oh my goodness. This is reminding me of parking in downtown Minneapolis when my husband had his special parking permit. We could only park in certain spots in the parking lot. Okay, so let's just draw a picture. That always helps me. So I'm just going to draw the parking lot, and I'm going to do the whole parking lot without any regard to how many of those spots are special spots. So I know that there's 105 going this way, okay, and then 45 going this way. So I can figure out how many parking spots there are in total, and then I'm going to have to subtract out 630, and I don't know if that's a large amount of or a small amount of them because I don't know how many are there to begin with. So my equation would look something like this. I'm going to multiply 45 times 105, and again you could do 105 times 45. The order doesn't matter in this case. And then you're going to subtract out 630. All right, why don't you pause the video and see what you get for an answer. After solving this, I feel like this must be the Mall of America parking lot, because look at how many spaces there were. 4,725 parking spaces. And then 630 of them are special permit ones. So I'm subtracting those off. My total, 4,095. All right. Because I know you love fractions so much, we're going to try number 15. Yes, I'm laughing about that. I know you don't love fractions, but it's really not as bad as it looks. All right, a recipe that makes 6 servings requires 1 1/4 cups of flour. How much flour would be needed to make the recipe for 1/2 the number of servings? Okay, well, 1/2 the number of servings would be 3 servings, but aren't we just going to take 1/2 of this? Yeah, I think that's all we need to do. So over here, let's do this. 1/2 of, remember, of means times 1 1/4. Okay, and then our answer is going to go here. I think we can do this with just one step. Okay, so off to the side, set your problem up. Now 1 1/4 is a mixed number. You've got to change it to an improper. Think about what that's going to be. It's going to be 5/4. All right, go ahead. First you do the top, then you do the bottom. So I get 5/8 cups of flour. All right. Let's take a look at number 16. That's a different kind of problem. Number 16 says, an apple orchard in Minnesota. How about that? They've got a problem with us in it. An apple orchard in Minnesota has 8 rows of 26 Honeycrisp apples and 14 rows of 23 Red Delicious apples. How many Honeycrisp and Red Delicious apples, T for the total, are in the orchard? Okay, well, I know that I've got 2 kinds of apples. I've got Honeycrisp and I've got Red Delicious. So I'm going to figure out what those are, and then I'm going to add them together. So the Honeycrisp is going to be 8 times 26. I'll do that over here. And then my Red Delicious is 14 times 23. I'll do that down here. And then I'm going to add those for the total. So my equation, I'm just going to kind of copy down what my work looks like over here. 8 times 26. I'm putting that in parentheses because I'm going to do that part first. And then I'm going to add the 14 times 23. Man, they didn't give us a lot of room here. And then I'm going to put equals T for the total. You copy that down, and then I want you to figure out the Honeycrisp and the Red Delicious and add them up. Pause the video and do that. Here we go. Did you get it right? Hope so. So I think you can see that when we're doing 2-step problems, you are going to almost always have to write something down. I know a lot of you like to get your calculator out and just go boom, 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 do it all in order. This is going to be something that you're going to have to write down. You know, maybe you don't have to write down the 8 times the 26 part. Maybe you just write down the 208 and record that somewhere. But for sure, you're going to forget that number or lose it in the calculator. And you certainly don't want to add it on or multiply it on to something else. So you're going to need some scratch paper for this lesson. All right. Let's go down to, let's just have you try number 19. Okay. A manufacturing facility records the time its employees work for each week in fractions of an hour. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this one on your calculator, all right? So we don't have to multiply any fractions. So I'm going to tell you that Talia, 25.5, you remember that 1/2 is 0.5, right? So you could use that number, okay? Avery is going to be 7 3/4 hours. 3/4, think about 3/4. If you have 3/4 in your pocket, you got 75 cents. Okay? And then Claire is 39 1/4. So Claire is 39.25. 1/4, 25 cents. Now let's take a look at this. How many more hours did Claire